Hey. Hi. What's up? I missed you. What you been watching? Yo, you think you can krump? You think you can krump? You know, I used to break dance back in the day. Too old now. Alright, good boy. What a day. Do you mind if I change it? Enough krumping for today.
And the liberals have literally said, well, you can be a feeble, lazy whiner, we'll send you a check. They publicly announce that they hate capitalism, they hate the American dream.
I don't believe in the American dream. Liberals just believe in one America, that we are a team, that you and all of your friends and your fans and your neighbors and myself and my family and everybody that I know and everybody that I don't know, but everybody that's American, we're one team. And we're not giving things away to other people or to other countries. We are helping our own team. You wouldn't say that if you ran a football team, you wouldn't say, oh, why are they giving away shoulder pads to everybody? Why are they giving away access to the trainer? Why are they giving away the film tape of the opponents? That's ridiculous. No, you wouldn't say that because you're trying to make your team better. That's the difference. You're stoned. We are patriotic. We're taking it back, the red, white, and blue.
I can hardly stand myself. I'm stoned right now and backstraps I have, you know.
Told you so.
What do you want?
Free public college, a cancellation of student debt.
Someone asked to pick up the tab. Who would that be?
The 1% of people in society that are hoarding the wealth.
The 1% just had their taxes raised a few years ago, back to almost 40%. Then to pay for the health care law, they had them raised another few percentage points.
That's a lie. In 2015, the top federal tax bracket was 39.6%. That's really low compared to historical numbers.
I mean, unless you really did see a considerable bang for the buck and it was worth it, right? But a lot of the times that you realize it's not worth it.
You're forgetting that the money that goes to student loans currently would go into the pockets of Americans with college degrees. And that money could be used to start new businesses, to invest in the stock market, to give to charity, to buy consumer goods, to save money. All of these things are positives for the economy. Think about our competition. Think about all of the college graduates across the globe that don't have to pay student debt. I owe almost $1,000 a month in student loans. Now granted, I went to graduate school twice. I got my master's in public policy, and then 10 years later, I got my master's in business. But still, a lot of people owe that much. They owe $1,000 a month in America, not in other countries. And so if I have an idea to start a business, something that would create jobs, I have to think, oh, can I start it? I owe $1,000 a month on top of everything else. I don't know if I can take that risk. In another country, they don't have that.
Dagan, Connell, what do you think?
I think the math doesn't add up, and I think that as a broad message, it's like more for nothing.
That is so unpatriotic. You're not just giving it away to other people. They're on our team. Those are people who impact you. If they have an education, they're less likely to commit crime, which helps you by less criminals out there. You're not paying as much for jail. You're not paying as much for the police. They have a good job, so they pay a little bit more in taxes, which means that you don't have to pay as much because they're pitching in. They're less likely to be on welfare or food stamps, so we can reduce that. Come on now.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, you give your dog a bone, and then you're a stupid liberal, and you try to take the bone back from the dog after you give the dog a bone. The dog bites you. It's not your fault. It's not the dog's fault.
Don't get any dumb ideas, especially from him. He's full of them.
I feel that this hate crimes legislation in some ways could be considered the very definition of tyranny. And people sincerely held religious beliefs can now be considered contrary to public policy.
There's a reason that we have to separate church and state. You could utilize the Bible or the Quran or any holy book to discriminate against almost anybody, even athletes. Look at the Bible, at Leviticus 5:2. It says that you're not supposed to touch the unclean dead skin of cattle, right? And so unless basketballs are kosher, or baseballs and baseball mitts are kosher, footballs are kosher, unless they're kosher, basically all of these athletes are sinning according to that part of the Bible, right? So should you be able to discriminate against them because of that? Should you have the freedom to say, we don't serve basketball players or football players because they're going against Leviticus 5:2? No, that's ridiculous. You can pick and choose almost anything.
Apparently, people who are practicing pedophiles would be considered protected under this legislation. But not, I understand, veterans. Not, I understand, pregnant women. Not, I understand, 85-year-old grandmothers would be protected under this law.
Okay, I'm calling BS there. It does cover veterans and pregnant women and women over 85 if they're LGBT.
And we could see, for the first time in our nation, that people would be disallowed from having their sincerely held religious beliefs.
The first time? What about slavery and women's rights and segregation? And people have been claiming that their religious freedoms were trampled on all of these things.
Back in '99, you said no loopholes anywhere for anyone. But now you do not.
They're criminals, they're homicidal maniacs, and they're mentally ill. I mean, we all know that homicidal maniacs, criminals, and the insane don't abide by the law.
That's like saying in football, there's always going to be certain offensive linemen who hold almost every play, which is kind of true, right? But you wouldn't say, oh, well then, what's the use of having holding laws? Why should we have that rule? I mean, people break it anyway, so it's stupid. Why put the scrutiny on all the offensive linemen who aren't holding? But we don't do that. There's all kinds of rules in our society that we have that people still break. We have speeding laws. There's still going to be speeders. We have rape laws. Unfortunately, we're still going to have people who rape and murder and cheat on their taxes. And there's always going to be some segment of the population that does these things. It doesn't mean that you don't create laws and rules, because you can lower the percentage of people who do that. And when it comes to guns, if you just lower it slightly and you save 1 or 2 or more lives, that's important.
We keep hearing that 2014 has been the warmest year on record. I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball. And that's just from outside here. So it's very, very cold out, very unseasonal.
You can't just look at one day, at one data point, and then come to a conclusion and throw away all of the statistics over the years. That's like saying Tim Tebow was the greatest quarterback of all time based on one play. Only looking at one play when against my Steelers in the playoffs, he throws a touchdown pass. It's great, one play. And you draw the conclusion that he must be the greatest quarterback of all time. And you ignore the statistics and the game tape for all the years. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, but he's not a great quarterback. But if you only looked at one play, you might come to that conclusion. It's the same thing with climate change in your argument. You're saying, oh, it's cold outside, so, it must be, there's no climate change. Well, you're ignoring all the statistics, okay?
Her latest is called Demonic, how the liberal mob is endangering America.
Liberals are a mob, the party of the mob. My argument is you must always smash a mob because they're dangerous. Liberals think America is a very bad country, so we deserve to be punished for having a successful society.
Have you noticed almost all these mass shooters come from like liberal Democrat families, and they're all into weird occult stuff and are on a bunch of drugs and are Satan worshipers and video game heads?
Yep. They try to project their shortcomings onto us, and we're not buying that. What it teaches us, I think, is that angry liberals, they can't handle guns. They are inherently violent. And a lot of them, I think, realize it, and they say, well, I wouldn't trust myself with a gun. And I say to that, good.
Now I see why they're so scared of having guns, because they are lunatics.
They assume that we are in the same boat with them.
The real racism is looking away from what is really harming black Americans, the root cause of poverty. And as Talking Points has reported over and over and over again, that is the dissolution of the African American traditional family, chaos on the streets in poor neighborhoods, and an educational system that does not demand the same standards of achievement that are demanded in the white neighborhoods. Fox News is attacked when we report the truth. Well, you want a war, you got a war. I'm not going to sit here any longer and take this garbage. People who lie, who run the country down, who are racist themselves, are going to be called out right here on The Factor. In the next segment with Bernie Goldberg, we'll play you an outrageous statement made by a person who...
Hello? 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 Hello?